I sat on the edge of the bed, watching the rise and fall of his chest, feeling a familiar warmth in my chest. But then, I did something I hadn't planned. I lay down beside him, telling myself it was just to keep him warm, to share the quilt in the chilly room. The night was a chill that wrapped around you, penetrating deep into your bones, igniting a longing for warmth in every possible way. As I found myself in the kitchen, I gently stirred a pot of soup, watching the steam rise in delicate curls that danced and fogged the window above the sink. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Julia, and at the age of 44, I have embraced the journey of single motherhood for the majority of my life. My son, Noah, now 22, has been my steadfast anchor, my guiding light through the tumultuous storms of life. From the very beginning, it was just the two of us, journeying through life hand in hand, our bond as strong as the mightiest of oaks. Yet, as the night unfolded, an unseen force beckoned me, and there I stood, teetering on the brink of a chasm I had never before encountered. Noah returned home as the night deepened, his sturdy frame weary, his dark locks cascading over his brow. He appeared weary, the sort of fatigue that transcends mere physicality. He was balancing a full-time position at a quaint bookstore while attending night classes at the community college, pursuing his dream of earning a degree in literature. His love for stories was a bond we cherished, yet recently I noticed the burden of his dreams bearing heavily upon him. "Mom," he murmured, his voice barely rising above a whisper, "I'm not feeling my best today." His hazel eyes, once sparkling with a subtle fire, now appeared dimmed, cloaked in the weariness of the day. I placed the ladle aside, a knot of concern tightening in my chest. "You seem utterly exhausted. My dear, why not take a moment to rest and lie down for a while?" In the embrace of my warm bed, I find solace against the chill that envelops our old Victorian home tonight. The creaky floors whisper tales of the past, while the drafty windows let in the icy breath of the night. It always seemed to take an eternity to warm up during the chilly winter months. Noah gave a weary nod, too drained to dispute, and slowly made his way to my bedroom. I trailed behind, clutching a thick quilt from the linen closet, as a surge of nurturing instincts surged within me. My heart longed to wrap him in comfort, to soothe the tension that was so clearly written across his features. In my room, Noah fell onto the bed, his tall figure sinking deep into the mattress. I gently laid the quilt over him, wrapping it around his shoulders, just as I did in his childhood days. With a soft whisper, he expressed his gratitude. "Thanks, Mom," before gently shutting his eyes. For a fleeting moment, the night seemed just like any other, with me tending to him and him placing his trust in my hands to weep. Perched on the edge of the bed, I observed the gentle rise and fall of his chest, a familiar warmth blossoming within me. Yet, in a twist of fate, I found myself taking an unexpected turn. I settled beside him, whispering to myself that it was merely to keep him warm, to share the quilt in the cool embrace of the room. In the beginning, it was pure and untainted. In the stillness of the room, the only sound was the gentle hum of the heater, valiantly working to maintain warmth. Noah's breathing grew gentle, and I wondered if he had drifted off into slumber. But then he shifted, drawing nearer, his body melding with mine beneath the comforting weight of the quilt. A flicker of unease ignited in my chest, catching my breath in its grasp. In his quest, he was merely in search of warmth. I reminisced about those moments when he was just a little one, seeking comfort by crawling into my bed during the roaring thunderstorm. Yet, as his arm enveloped me, drawing me in with a tender pull, the atmosphere around us felt as though it had deepened, heavy with unspoken words. I stood still, my heart racing in my chest. His touch was gentle and known to me, yet there lingered an unspoken depth, a heaviness I couldn't quite identify. I felt the urge to chuckle, to utter something playful to lighten the atmosphere, yet my voice remained silent. His warmth wrapped around me like a comforting blanket, his steady breathing a soothing melody amidst the storm of thoughts swirling in my mind. I reassured myself that it was merely a mother soothing her child. Yet, in that moment, I sensed it, a firmness beneath the quilt, undeniable and startling. My heart quickened, a surge of anxiety sweeping through me. Something felt amiss. What unfolded was never part of the plan. I found myself lying there, tense, as my thoughts began to swirl around me. Noah was my son, my cherished boy, the one I had nurtured through countless sleepless nights and unwavering sacrifices. Yet, in that fleeting instant, with his presence so near, an unfamiliar sensation washed over me, a tug, a heat that felt foreign, sending shivers deep within me. I loathed myself for it, for being aware of the warmth of his breath against my neck and the gentle touch of his fingers resting on my arm. A surge of urgency coursed through me, urging me to break free, to spring from the bed and flee into the unknown. Yet I found myself unable to stir. The stillness enveloped everything, with each moment unfolding like a tale that seemed to last forever. Noah stirred, his head lifting slightly, and as our eyes locked, I caught a glimpse of something that sent a shiver through my core. A gentle fragility that reflected the turmoil within me. "Mama," he whispered, his voice a mere breath in the stillness. "Is this acceptable?" His eyes locked onto mine, a reflection of the confusion that mirrored my own. Ensnared in that peculiar flow, I parted my lips, yearning to utter a word, to conjure something, anything to shatter the enchantment. Yet, silence lingered in the air. Instead, I nodded, a subtle, uncertain gesture that seemed to betray all that I held dear. He drew nearer, his face just a breath away from mine. My heart thumped with such intensity, I felt certain he could catch its rhythm. With a gentle motion, his hand swept a lock of hair away from my face. A gesture so tender, it stirred a deep ache within my chest. With my eyes shut tight, I sought to ground myself, to recall the essence of who we truly were. Yet, the warmth of his touch and the quiet intensity of his presence enveloped me, drawing me in for just a fleeting moment. I embraced the sensation, the intimacy, and the bond that was both known and exhilaratingly fresh. In an instant, Noah withdrew. He released a tremulous chuckle. With a hand rubbing the back of his neck, a warm flush crept across his cheeks. "Apologies, Mother," he murmured, his voice heavy with shame. "It was never my intention. I'm not quite sure what that was all about." As the enchantment shattered, the fabric of reality surged forth, reclaiming its dominion. I propped myself up, my hands quivering as I sought to calm my breath. "It's all right, Noah," I said, mustering a smile that seemed fragile. "We find ourselves weary, both of us. It has been a long day, yet it didn't quite sit right." The atmosphere surrounding us crackled with tension, thick with the weight of unvoiced inquiries. I longed to extend my arms, to embrace him, and act as if everything remained the same. Alas, I found myself unable to do so. A change had woven itself into the very fabric of the moment, leaving me at a loss for how to mend it. Just as I was about to continue, the doorbell chimed, a sudden jolt that sliced through the atmosphere like a blade. I leaped with gratitude for the sudden break and rushed to the door. There lived a neighbor named Daniel, a gentle soul in his late 50s, whose face bore the marks of time and whose smile radiated warmth. With a flashlight in hand, he illuminated the darkness around him. His coat was lightly sprinkled with snowflakes, a delicate touch of winter's breath. "Hey, Julia," he said, his voice soft and inviting. "I noticed your lights were on, so I decided to stop by and see how you were doing. The chill is creeping in beyond the door. Is there any issue with the heater, my friend?" His concern was heartfelt, and for a fleeting moment, I felt anchored by his presence, as if the ordinary nature of his visit could wash away the oddity of the night. "Thank you, Daniel," I replied, my voice more composed than I truly felt. "Ah, the heater has been misbehaving lately. If you could spare a moment to take a glance, I would greatly appreciate it." I moved aside, granting him entry, acutely aware of Noah's gaze lingering from the hallway. His expression was a mystery, yet the tension in his jaw spoke volumes, and a fleeting glimmer of what seemed to be jealousy danced in his eyes. A shiver ran down my spine at the mere thought. Did he share the same intricate feelings that swirled within me, or was I merely casting my own bewilderment onto him? Daniel made his way to the living room, kneeling beside the heater, the gentle sound of his tools softly clinking in the quiet space. He engaged in light conversation, inquiring about Noah's classes and my role at the library. I responded without thinking, my thoughts drifting far away. Noah lingered in the hallway, arms crossed, his gaze flitting between me and Daniel, as if weighing the unspoken tension in the air. The air was thick with unspoken words, a quiet struggle unfolding that eluded my grasp. In that moment, a tempest brewed within me, a fierce desire to unleash my questions upon Noah, and even upon my own heart. Yet I held my ground, donning a mask of calm as I chuckled at Daniel's light-hearted banter, feigning that all was well in my world. As Daniel completed his task, he rose to his feet, casually brushing his hands against his jeans. "Are we ready to begin? Julia, do give me a ring if it decides to misbehave once more." He cast a fleeting look at Noah, his smile wavering for just a heartbeat, as though he could feel the subtle tension in the air. I expressed my gratitude, guiding him to the door, and as it clicked shut, the hush enveloped the room once more. With a weight that seemed to anchor him down, Noah lingered in the hallway, his stance unyielding. "Are you all right?" I inquired, my tone gentle. He searched, a shrug escaping him, his gaze drifting away from mine. "Indeed, all is well with me. Well, I certainly didn't see Daniel's arrival coming." His tone was sharp, and a wave of guilt washed over me, though the reason eluded me. I felt the urge to press him, to inquire about his troubles, but he simply turned and retreated to his room, the door shutting with a gentle click that resonated with finality. In the quiet embrace of the dimly lit living room, I found myself standing alone, my heart weighed down by a swirling blend of relief and dread. The night had woven a thread between us, a connection I couldn't quite define yet, felt deeply within me. As I entered my room, I collapsed onto the bed, my mind swirling with a chaotic blend of thoughts. I revisited each moment, the gentle warmth of Noah's touch, the depth of his gaze, and the way my heart had turned against me. In a world where I should have felt at home, I found myself adrift, caught in the tumult of my affection for my son, and a swirling fog of uncertainty that left me questioning all that I knew. A gentle rap on the door sent a shiver through me. My heart raced, a blend of anticipation and trepidation swirling within. "Step inside," I beckoned, my voice more composed than the turmoil within. Noah crossed the threshold, a cautious look on his face, his hands buried deep in his pockets. He perched on the edge of the bed, his gaze fixed on the floor, as the silence unfurled between us, vast and unbridgeable. At last he spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "Mom." Alas, I find myself in a state of confusion, unsure of the currents that swirl within me. Earlier it felt a bit strange, and I certainly didn't intend to put you in an uncomfortable position. His words stumbled forth, each one tinged with a mix of frustration and a raw, open vulnerability. I could see the turmoil in his eyes, mirroring the tempest I was facing within myself. I extended my hand, resting it gently on his arm, a gesture intended to soothe, yet it pulsed with an unspoken energy. "Noah," I murmured gently, "it's all right." Perhaps we find ourselves entwined in emotions that elude our comprehension. For what feels like an eternity, it's been just the two of us, and in that time, the threads of our story have woven a tapestry that can sometimes become tangled and complex. My voice quivered, yet I maintained his gaze, hoping he would understand that I was just as adrift as he was. He nodded, his gaze probing into mine, a blend of yearning and doubt dancing in the shadows of his eyes. "I don't want to mess this up," he murmured, his voice a soft breeze in the stillness. "Oh, you are my everything." The intensity of his words washed over me like a powerful tide, stirring emotions that brought tears to my eyes. I longed to draw him near, to vow that together we would find a way. Yet I paused, uncertain whether my touch would mend or hurt. In that moment, I inhaled deeply, grounding myself. Perhaps it was time to pause and reflect. With a soft yet resolute tone, I remarked, "We need not possess all the answers this evening. Let us simply allow time to unfold." With a nod, he leaned his head on my shoulder, a familiar gesture that took me by surprise, reminiscent of the days when he was just a little one. The warmth of familiarity enveloped me, yet beneath it all, a current of tension lingered, whispering that nothing was quite as it once was. I drew him near, my arm encircling him, as my heart swelled with a mix of love and uncertainty. We lingered in that moment, the silence weaving a delicate connection between us. In that fleeting moment, I understood that we couldn't linger in this blissful pause indefinitely. The weight of unanswered questions hovered above us, yet for now, it was a treasure to simply exist here, side by side, even as the road ahead remained shrouded in mystery. Once more, the knock at the door echoed, sharp and demanding, urging attention. I felt a jolt of tension as I drew back from Noah, our gazes locking in a moment of shared astonishment. As I stood there, my legs trembling beneath me, I opened the door to reveal Daniel once more, his expression a canvas of worry. "Julia, I apologize for intruding," he said, his voice filled with urgency. "I noticed something was amiss with you earlier, and I wanted to check in and see if you're all right." I cast a fleeting look over my shoulder at Noah, who observed us with an inscrutable expression. "We're fine, Daniel," I said, my voice quivering just a bit. "It was merely a tranquil evening." He observed me intently, then shifted his gaze to Noah, his eyes narrowing just a touch, as if he could feel the tension hanging in the atmosphere. At last he spoke, his voice steady and resolute. "If you find yourself in need, just know I'm right next door, ready to lend a hand." As he departed, I gently shut the door behind him, leaning against it, my heart pounding with a wild rhythm. Noah approached, his gaze fixed intently on me. "Mother," he uttered, his voice quivering with emotion, "perhaps it's best if we take a step back from this. Perhaps what we truly need is a moment to pause and reflect." His words echoed the very thoughts swirling in my mind, and I found myself nodding, a bittersweet blend of relief and sorrow swelling within my chest. "Indeed, you speak the truth," I replied gently. "We shall uncover the solution together. All we require is a little time." He nodded, and we lingered in that moment, the distance between us a paradox of solace and separation. As he turned to leave, a wave of sorrow washed over me, yet a glimmer of hope danced in my heart. No matter what lay ahead, we would confront it side by side, taking each step as it came. We appreciate your presence as we weave this tale together, especially if you haven't joined us yet. Kindly tap the subscribe button for shocking twists. Your support is invaluable, allowing us to continue weaving tales that connect deeply with hearts and minds. If this tale touched your heart, be sure to show your appreciation and become part of our community for more enchanting narratives.